I brought the truck home to change a leaky fuel line, and I got it changed. It's in here, and I made that up here. I will go over to the other shop and show you what I used to do that. I've got fuel line that same size that I picked up last time I had to get a fuel line made, and I bought some scraps left over from the end of rolls that they sold me, and some fittings. They sold me some fittings like this, and pushed that in. There is wire inside there in that hose, so you want to cut that with a hacksaw. And then I blew air through the other end of the hose, and I just stuck a welding rod in there and worked it around while I'm blowing air that's coming out this way. And I did that on both ends of the hose after I cut it off to clean the dust out of it, because it is a fuel line. Even though it's going to go through another filter, I still want it as clean as possible. And then these fittings, I had to put, maybe I didn't have to. They told me these are good for like 300 pounds without a ferrule or a clamp on it, but I got ferrules. I put one on there. I'm not tripoding the camera, so anyway, I put one on there like that, and clamped it with, well, first I sprayed a little bit of lubricant spray inside the end of the hose there, and then I used this ferrule clamp, hose clamp thing here. It's hydraulic. I found this on Amazon, and it's good for airlines, air conditioning hoses, fuel lines, things like that. Got a bunch of different sizes of dies, and this piece here, I just stuck that in the vise, clamped the bottom of it on the edge of the vise so that I have something to hold it with. And this is a good tool for somebody like me that just makes up a hose every once in a while. 2 or 3 years might go by, I don't make one, or I might make 2 or 3 in a year. Anyway, it's a handy tool for that. Clamp that ferrule on there, and it looks professional when it's done. And then I had, when I went to do this, I couldn't roll my trailer legs down. I couldn't understand why. They've always went down before, but they gave me trouble. So I had to, I'll put this away later. I had to figure out what was wrong with that, and I'll show you what I'm doing about that. Well, I couldn't roll the legs down without a really strong fight, and it's the first time I ever had that trouble with this trailer. So, I mean, they had some resistance rolling them up and down, but it always worked. It wasn't a problem. And this time it was a problem, and I just left the trailer on while I went to do the fuel line, and which is really handy, because with this new work area I got here, I can do that. I don't have to drop the trailer across the street like I used to. Well, I couldn't have dropped the trailer. I'd have been over there trying to roll these legs down and gave up and just pulled back over here with it. It works in low gear, but it takes forever to wind them down, but it didn't want to work in high gear. So I opened this gearbox up and started cleaning it out and getting these gears off, and I had to take a file and clean up these shafts. They were full of rust, and so I can get the gears off of them. This gear here has to slide off going the other direction, but I can't get that one off yet because somebody burned this off with a torch, and they left a big booger on the end of that shaft. I got to grind that off. I got to grind that crap off of there before I can pull this shaft out of there and clean this thing up. I may not have to. I may have enough of that off of there. But there's a hole in this shaft right there, and there was a spring. This little spring was sticking out of that hole. There was grease holding it on. Obviously there's supposed to be a detent ball there. It might be in this pan. If not, I'll see if I can find a ball that'll fit in there in my junk somewhere. I never throw those things out, bearings or whatever. I always keep those little balls. You never know when you're going to need one for something like this. So I don't know if I'm going to record putting it back together or not. I might, but I'm just going to clean up all these gears and get them where they move freely on the shaft. This gear's got a lot of damage on it, but I want to get it out of there and try to clean it and see if I can repair. With a little Dremel tool, I might be able to repair the damage on that enough to keep from having to change it. Or if worse come to worse, we'll just, that's for low gear. Well, I don't know if it's low gear or high gear. This shaft here works without this one. This is where the handle goes outside, and you push it in and pull it out for low and high gear. But if I just put the handle on this one alone, all I got's high gear, and it works. It turns freely. I can stick a screwdriver in there and turn that, and the legs go up and down. I may end up doing that. I just won't have low gear. But the low gear, I don't know how to describe it. I got to pull this gear off and see if I can repair it enough, put it back together, and if it doesn't work, then I'll just stick the handle on this one. Well, I got it back together without grease. All the parts are clean and dry just to try them out, and it's working. A little noisy in high gear. Put it in low gear and it works quieter, because I do have a bad gear on high gear. Let me pull this cover back off and show what's in there. Okay, I cleaned up all the gears and put them back in, and had to clean these shafts, clean these inside of these. I got to grease all that up. This gear here is bad. It looks clean because it's been through the sandblast cabinet, but look at these teeth right here where my thumb is. That's all gone. It's not a fresh brake. That's why I thought it's still going to work. This just rotted out from who knows how long it may have sat with some water on it before I got it. I don't know. Well, I was using this thing on my job, but we weren't dropping the trailer. We just kept it on there. But we had to drop it now and then to grease the fifth wheel. Anyway, all I got to do now is grease this thing up and put it back together, and I think we're in business. Got it all done. It works good now. It's real smooth on the low gear, but it's going down slowly. But the high gear, I showed on that one gear that was bad. It's working good. Just a little bit rough on that one gear because it needs a new gear there, but I don't know how to find one, so I'm okay. This will work. Here's the gate that I made for the lawnmower garage, and of course the concrete pad is finished. Bought these wheels on Amazon and these guide rollers. It's not 100% burglar proof, but anybody can come in here with a pliers or a wrench and get this off of here, or you can just walk right through here. Of course the lawnmower won't go through that, but I'll close that up eventually. This thing rolls back and forth nicely. And don't have a way to lock it onto this end yet, but I'm just daydreaming about how I'm going to go about doing that. I made the gate over there in the new work area on the concrete floor. I cut these pipes to size and welded them together, put a little brace in there to make sure it won't get out of square, and to offer a little support since it's a pretty good span between, you know, it's 17 feet long, the opening's 16 feet, and so I wanted a little extra hanging out to you know, just to stay inside these guide rollers here. I have a bunch of used fence material here, the vertical pipes and the top rails. There's a fence, or a whatever you call this, a gate type of thing here with the bars in it. This one's got round bars. I had some with the flat bars, and that's what I used on that gate that I made over there, or that door. Here's a flat bar. It's a little bit bent, but there's some more of them laying in there. But these 21-foot pipes for the top rails, I got all of this stuff, and these rolls of fencing, I got all of this stuff from a job I did a few years ago. An older couple that had a swimming pool in their backyard, and they hired me to dig it out and fill in the hole, and that's where all of this fencing came from that was around their swimming pool. So I didn't buy very much for that job. All I did was buy those guide rollers and the little wires that you tie, like these little wires right here. Every so often you got one that you tie the fence wire onto the poles or the pipes with. That's all I bought so far. Well, I got the gutters up here. Of course, not me. I had a gutter truck come out and put that up. I think they did a pretty good job. They did a real nice job. I just got a couple of old truck tires out here, kind of guarding. They're not really offering much protection other than visibility to the end posts on this thing, because this end of the mobile home is rented out, and the guy parks back here. Anybody can screw up and not watch where they're going for a second or two, and it's all it takes to really do serious damage to this thing. So hopefully that'll kind of deter that. I had to put some wood up here on the ends or the edge of the roof to have something to mount the gutters to, because there was nothing to mount them to before the gutter truck could come out and put the gutter up. But the main reason I wanted the gutter up here is because I don't want that water runoff coming off of here and hammering on this window is one reason, and another, this fire escape deck here with the air hoses and the electric. I still haven't finalized the electric outlet there. I'm still just using a temporary thing there, but I don't want all that getting rained on. I mean, a little drizzle or a little mist from wind when it's raining, that's okay, but I just wanted to minimize the heavy water hammering down on all of this. I also fixed the air conditioner on this truck. One of the things, I don't know if I can get this on camera yet or not, this triangle shaped thing had a bracket mounted on it, and this, I don't know what it is, but this piece here was on that bracket, and it was just hanging down this way, but it was broken off, this plastic. I don't know how they did that. I welded it back on here from where my finger is all the way around. I welded that as much as I could on both sides with a soldering iron. You know, it's plastic. And I took the bracket off. I thought, well, I don't want the strain of that piece hanging off sideways on that. I just left this, I don't know what it is, but it's just hanging here, and that's fine with me. Put a new dryer, receiver dryer on there, or accumulator, whatever you want to call it, and a new condenser. And the reason I put the new condenser and dryer in there is because the thing had a charge. It was holding Freon, but it wasn't very cold, and my pressures were not reading right. I was having way too high of pressure on the high side, and really too low of pressure, or I mean too high of pressure on the low side as well. But it wasn't showing a full charge. It had Freon, but not a full charge. So I thought, well, with these pressures too high, and a lot of the fins were damaged and folded over and restricting airflow, and I thought, well, I'll just replace that condenser and the dryer. And now this thing is really blowing cold. It's blowing real good, and of course, this hole is patched up. That was an open hole where a lot of the air was coming out of that. So that's good to get that one fixed. Put a new compressor on this green dually, this old GMC, 98 GMC. I found out that these compressors were bad about leaking. It's got the two ends, front and back, kind of clamped on to the center portion. Obviously seals in there were bad, and because there was oil stains all around this area, and maybe this one or somewhere else up here in the front, there were oil stains from the Freon leaking out, and it wouldn't hold Freon. So it went 2 or 3 years without, maybe more, maybe 5 or 6, I don't know, without the air conditioning working. And so thought, well, getting closer to retirement, I'm going to be using these trucks more. So I fixed that, and it's working really good now. Another little job I did on this GMC dually is this ignition lock. It was the plastic ring and thing that you grab to turn the key once you put the key in there. It fell apart. It's just old plastic, and it fell apart, and the local locksmith that does car locks couldn't find the part for me. And because it has this push button on the side, he says he can find the one without this, but I gotta have this because it's a standard shift transmission. And he says you got to have that on there. And so he was hunting and hunting, and he couldn't find one through his sources. I found one on Amazon, but I didn't want a different key cut, so I was able to pull this plastic thing off and put it on the old lock. So I got the old ignition lock back in there with the plastic ring from the new ignition lock, and so I still have my original key cut. And so you get these old cars like this, they stop making parts after 10 years or so, and you can't get stuff for them, so you have to figure out a way. And that's what worked out good on this one. It works good now.